Hello, everyone. It is clean breakthrough time. We're so glad you're here for our latest episode. We got two characters on this call. You have myself, Cole Cowan, and you have Lucas Coleman Socia. Lucas, say hello.
Hello.
Hello. It's good to see you, dude. We are, once again, we have really thought this out, you know. We've really put a lot of brain power in this thing, but we want to talk about a early recovery phenomenon that happens with a lot of our guys. All right, and we're going to call that the stampede, if you will, towards women, or you could just say romantic relationships or codependent relationships. We'll get into it, but what happens in early recovery for someone that causes them to run towards intimate relationships and try to find some peace there? These are important questions. What are they looking for? What are they running to? Who the heck is receptive to them running to them? These are all important things we need to talk about and stuff. Lucas, I'm sure will have some personal antidotes to share with us about his time and his early recovery, but that's what we wanted to talk about today. So, first and foremost, Lucas, do you think this is a stampede? Would you say a stampede is an accurate way to describe this? You don't have to agree with me. I'm just being a little bit colorful for the audience here. What do you think?
I think on average, it's a stampede fits.
Great insight, Lucas. Thank you. All right. So what we do see when people are getting sober, we have this massive drop in not only dopamine, but this massive drop in connections and finding connections with the people you did substances with, or you maybe got the substance from, or even just seeing the guy at the liquor store. But they're the routine and a pattern that's now gone, and there's this void. And so people tend to try to fill this void with many things. It could be other substances, it could be porn, it could be food, it could be exercise, it could be nicotine, it could be a lot of different things. But relationships, particularly intimate relationships, is a pretty powerful one that a lot of people go to. In fact, in some arenas known as shmei, they may say things like, don't be in a dating relationship for the first year of your sobriety. Tend to be a pretty well-known, at least in the recovery community, a well-known piece of advice. So all that to say, we know it's happening, but what is someone looking for? Why is there this pull to an intimate relationship? What do you think? Why is it a thing?
Great stuff, Cole. I agree with all that. I think it's mostly validation and self-esteem based. I think dopamine definitely plays a role, and especially when you get into dating apps, and probably dopamine that's firing off as you get a like back or a match or someone sends you a message. But I think it's mostly a quest for validation. Do I still got it? Even while in a sober living with no car and no job and no money and kind of the most down and out I've been, can I still get a girl on social media to be, or a dating app to be interested in me?
So you think that people are they're looking for love, belonging?
I wouldn't say love. I would not say love. I would say validation.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I know that, and I don't even think as much connection, because and working with young men specifically, I've noticed that they can have young guys to connect with all around them. Yet what I hear a lot is oh, but all these men, that's not what I need. I get plenty of that. I need the touch. I've heard I need the touch of a woman. I just want to feel a woman. I want to, it's all kind of that type of stuff. And it seems very directed at specifically women, which is interesting because you could get connection with plenty of people around you. So to be kind of turning that down, and then even hey, I could be on the couch hanging out with a bunch of guys, but instead I'm in my bedroom under the covers secretly on Tinder swiping kind of tells me that it's something more than connection
Hmm. Yeah,
or
there's
lack
something.
of connection.
Yeah, well, there's something about like the chase too, probably, and like getting the validation of like, oh, does this person like me, or do they think I'm like attractive? And it's like most this time when I'm most like down bad in my life, you know. I think that the reality is most people do not see like at least early on getting sober as this real prideful thing
Hmm.
in the early days. They may look back on it and have a lot of like empathy and like courage for that guy or that girl who's getting sober, but in the moment tend to be like pretty like down bad. And so then to feel like somebody is actually attracted to you is really fun. And it's also just a big distraction. It's like super exciting. Like, will this person like me, or will they like swipe right or left, or, will they like send me photos or whatever, like there's this chase element to it that makes it like really exciting. And it probably hits a lot like on a neural pathways, like hits on the same neural pathways that like drugs do, like this chase of like, how can I find my stuff? Like, how can I sneak this alcohol, whatever the case is? It's probably hitting that as well.
Yeah. I think another thing that's interesting, I probably don't see it as much, but occasionally is it's like a new vector for dishonesty.
Yeah.
Where I remember I had a guy one time, and I think this guy walked around the house on FaceTime with a girl that he met on a dating app that he was dating. And he was telling her that the sober living house was his house and that these were his friends, and like really he owns the house and he just rents it out to some of his buddies and they just kind of all live there, just like blatantly lying. That one wasn't as bad. The second lie that he was telling, I think a different girl, was that he had stage 4 brain cancer and was going to like die any month now. And I mean, the most hilarious part of all of it is that he faked a seizure while on the phone with her on FaceTime. And so he like fell to the floor, conveniently kept the phone like perfectly facing him as he just like did like shaking motions like he was having a seizure, and then like let it go face down. So like just kind of crazy lies where it's like, and I think he found other ways to get those things out with other people too, but it seemed like, and maybe even all that was just the lengths you'll go to get the validation, you know. But I've seen some pretty wild stuff when it comes with young guys in recovery looking for women, looking for love in all the wrong places.
Did not know about the seizures, but do I even know who that person is?
Mm-mm.
I don't think I do. That's a wild one. Well, it begs the question of like who's in the other end of the line. And I do think there's like a mutually agreed upon game within the game, because I think if you're in like a healthier relationship or you've never like gone down this path of treating relationships like this, it just seems like we're speaking a different language. It's just like, what am I listening to? Who would do this? But I think if you get honest with yourself, like there is this like mutually agreed upon game that people get into in a relationship. And in this particular game that people are playing, it's, I'm getting something out of the chaos of you having like stage 4 brain cancer or the drama of that. Or if I could just save you, if I, could help pick you up by your bootstraps. Like I'm getting some meaning out of that on the other end of it too, right? I'm finding like you really want my like affection, but also I really want you're giving my voice a big power. So I think when you have people whose like voices or their like ability to control and influence has been like kind of pushed down, then when somebody says like, hey, swipe right on me, or like, do you think, swipe right, like a Tinder, whatever. I don't know which one, left or right is the way, but it's like, give me affection. Like it would mean everything if you just do that. They love bomb them, right? Like, please just give me that. Then all of a sudden your voice matters a lot.
Yeah.
Matters a ton. And so then you're getting that like validation on that side. So I don't know how aware people are of like the games they're in, but that's totally what's happening from the outside when you can see it,
Yeah. And it's funny, it was just making me think, and all of this kind of adds up to why you should just not be fixated on the opposite, whoever it is that you're interested in, whatever gender that is. But I was thinking that like, would I rather them have told the woman everything about their situation or not? And it's like, well, if they did tell them, then I'd be worried about the person on the other side. If we're talking about young men, on average, it's young women. Would I be worried about that young woman? Yes, because she knows that this guy's in sober living, blew up his life, is pretty hopelessly addicted to something, and is like in the process of rebuilding it. And if that looked like all green flags to her of like, man, this guy sounds great, I need to get with him as soon as possible, that makes me really worry about the person on the other end of the line. And then if they didn't tell them, then it gives me a little more hope for whoever's on the other side of the line, because maybe they believe, oh, this guy is really successful and he actually owns this big old house and just out of the kindness of his heart lets him live there. And God, he'd also got stage 4 brain cancer. That must be really tough. I would feel better about her on the other end of the line, but then I'd be worried about my guy that I'm working with, like why they're not being honest with people and being receptive about where they're at and what's really going on. And so it feels like this catch-22 where like either direction, I'm worried about one of the two, if not both of them. So it's like, that's kind of why we say, just leave that alone for a while, work on yourself, figure yourself out, so that the next relationship you get in can probably be a lot better than the ones that you've been in historically.
Yeah, I think even the mechanics of being in a relationship, even one that's not of people who are in early recovery, it's just a really convenient distraction from yourself. You can complain about what your partner did or what your husband did or what your wife did. And, you don't have to really look at yourself. It is the easiest like person to just put stuff off onto, like they're just crazy or they do this, that, whatever. But I don't have to look at me. And that is like such a harmful thing to people early on in recovery, to not look at themselves, because that's what it all comes down to. So the two big blocks there, right? A resentment. If you have like a resentment towards somebody, like this person should have never called the cops on me. This person should have never had an intervention with me. This person should have never cut me off or, been mean to me when I was a kid, whatever. That blocks from your own like part of it. But the same thing with like this infatuation and the distraction that can happen in like intimate relationships. It's another big block of like not looking at yourself and like how you're showing up. And it'll tell you a lot about like where somebody really stands in their recovery. I think it'll tell you a lot. Not everything. I mean, everybody's recovery is your own thing. I'm not, but there's certainly like, as somebody who tries to help people in early recovery, if I'm seeing like one or both of those big distractions, I know there's going to be some hardships for the most part in their recovery process, because they might be missing some things and not really being able to look at themselves. Did that make sense, Lucas?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I always tell guys that, I was like, I think a lot of times in early on in relationships, things are great. You have all these lovey-dovey feelings. They have them back. You're catching validation both directions. That part, I'm probably more worried in that stage about like the distraction element that you just laid out, or just seeking validation. What I'm the most worried about is that what happens when it gets tough, and what happens when it goes wrong, what happens when you get rejected, get broken up with, get ghosted, when you want to break up with them and then you ghost them, but then you feel shameful about it. Like, what do you do with all that? And when you're in early recovery, I don't know that you've really figured out how to deal with that yet. And that's a lot of times why we go to like safe places like treatment and sober living, to kind of protect from a lot of these like hard world issues that we don't know how to cope with without doing drugs and alcohol. And so that's always what I say. I worry about that. And telling that to a young guy, they're like, Lucas, you don't get it. It's the love of my life. We're going to be together forever. We're literally going to get married next year. Like, dude, you met her yesterday on a chat roulette site, and you guys have never even met each other in person. So chances are probably pretty good that you're not going to get married next year. So just hear me out on this and just let it be for a while, because it comes with a lot of potential downside and not so much potential upside. There wouldn't be better directions you could put that energy right now to help build yourself up.
But I think too, this is like natural. This is like a normal part of it. Like people have to like learn somewhere along the way of like, when have I kept trying to do things my way? And then when do I need to like stop and listen to somebody else, or to a group of people? And I think it's like really natural and normal for people early in recovery. Like they willingly or not, usually not willingly, have stopped doing the substances, and now they're having like tried a new way of living. They're going to eventually dive into something too much. It might be working too much. It might be exercising too much. It might be some things that you would say like seem kind of positive on the surface. And then they need to be like redirected, have people in their lives, let's say like, hey man, you're like really going in hard on this, like you're finding too much meaning and making money or dating this girl or whatever the case is, you're losing yourself. And then can somebody come out of that? Like that is such a necessary thing to do. If everybody just did exactly what people told them to do in early recovery, you would lose something. You would lose like realizing your own unmanageability. Like you need that to be like shown to you time and time again, and within parameters. But I mean, I know it's an important part of your story. Like, I mean, I know you like in your early recovery didn't really take feedback on that, of like shouldn't be in a relationship. And then like for reasons like both within you and beyond you, you were able to learn from that. And it really helped you realize like some more humility. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely what happened. And I think that I think that I would also be the first person to like, on average, in the sober living, guys stay with us ideally for about a year. Occasionally we get guys that stay a little longer. There's nothing magical that happens on day 365. And I think that's where you can get kind of lost in the nuance, especially in arguments of like, oh, 9 months, like what's going to change then? So I normally try to direct it more towards like, when you like finish the steps or when you finish the program or whatever it may be, that's like less time based and more like development based so that you're more ready for it. But I mean, I can think of a guy this past year that was in our sober living. He'd been with us a while and I came to him and I was like, so what do you think about dating? Might be time to get out there. And because I do also like guys for when they're ready for it to kind of start trying that while they're with us so that if things do go wrong or they get awkward or they feel shameful or whatever the thing that may pop up, that they've still got some support around them. So it's not like, I just think that's always the straw man argument is like, y'all just hate relationships and don't want to see me happy. And it's like, I really, really do. So much so that I want you to hold off for a while so that when you are ready to do it, you will be happy and you will be fulfilled. And you're still going to have to learn from it. I think if you polled anyone who came into recovery single and then asked them, how did your first relationship go? And is that the person you're married to today? I think that would be a very small number.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of them would be like, that was a big learning curve for me of like, what red flags are in relationships, what I need to stay away from, what I learned from that, and what I wanted in the future. I had a better idea of that based on that first relationship and the ways that it went wrong. Not just to do with me, but just to do with dating in general.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think over that first year in this scenario, you're raising up like the floor. You know what I mean? And like, so then you can handle the emotional fallout or even catch it sooner that this relationship is not the relationship for me. And so I can like get out of this relationship or like handle a breakup where I know who to go talk to, or I have built up in this life where I'm like, I have these friends here or these people at this meeting I talk to, or these people at the gym that I hang out with, or these buddies that I chill with. Like it's not all my car or, all my eggs in one basket. And I think that's what happens. Like, it's like somebody comes in and they're at like this low, like down bad spot. They have not even built a house up. They're in the basement. And so then like, if you start to build out on like a dating relationship, which inevitably odds are is going to go wrong, you stay in the basement. You just crash right back down, trying to just build it up metaphorically to where, yeah, man, maybe it hurts, but have you learned to handle hurt while sober? Yeah, you're sad. Have you learned to handle being sad while sober? Okay, yeah, it's like you're heartbroken. Do you know what to do at heartbreak? Do you know who to talk to? And like doing that while also like building up who you are, you're doing the other person a kindness. That's something I challenge a lot of guys on. I'm like, if you care so much about this like hypothetical future person you're dating, will you do them a kindness and build yourself up to be somebody that you can be really proud of and they would be proud to be with?
yeah.
Instead of like them solving your problems for you or building you up into who you think you should be, why don't you go ahead and do that now and be a full, complete person when you find them? And that's easier said than done. I know that's hard, but it's a challenge worth doing, I think.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And I don't think there's ever going to be like a perfect time to do it. Like you're never going to be that complete person, you know.
Look, and I really like the hypocrisy. Like, dude, I've been like with my wife for 100 years, right? I was like a child when we started dating, literally, and like was not a full complete person, and have had to like find that out along the way, you know. And it has been like great at times, been hard at times. There's been like happiness, joy, heartbreak, all those things, right? And it's messy. It's like it's messy. And I think that, those early feelings of like being in love and excited and all that kind of stuff, it hides the fact that there's a lot of messiness. There's a lot of messiness in trying to be in a long-term relationship. And if you've already got this like tendency to go to substances when things get messy and it makes your life even more messy, it's hard you're going to go back to that. So just avoid that for a little bit, deal with some smaller messes, then you can get into that relationship.
Yeah. And even thinking way down the road, when you're working with someone younger, just for like the empathy standpoint, it's like, how difficult would it be to get into a relationship with somebody that you find out they're the love of your life, you get married to them, y'all have children, and then your relationship needs to withstand the fact that one of your children is addicted to drugs or alcohol and needs to go somewhere. And you have your ideas about how they're going to get better, and your wife has different ideas about how they're going to get better, and you fight over that and you bicker over it, and your marriage has to somehow withstand that. That it's like, that's the type of real life stuff. And I know that that's way down the road for like a younger guy, but I think that's just an example of like the stuff you don't think about, of like what you're going to fight about. I mean, I know for me, it's like, gosh, the first place you get together, what place are we going to get? I want this kind of house. I want that kind of house. Even once you agree on that, oh, what kind of furniture are we going to put in? I want this couch. I want that couch.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do with our kids? I want to go to this school. I want to go to that school. Like, there's just so many things to disagree about. So just having those relationship skills for any relationship in your life, romantic or otherwise, and then also just, the ability to like withstand the ups and downs of that while not doing drugs and drinking, so that I can continue to have that relationship.
Yeah, dude. And it's also super interesting too, like 10 years seems like a long time when you're talking about 10 years in the future. But 10 years in the past is not that long. So if you look back like 10 years into your past of like, thinking about like, like future kids someday, got to consider like, could they have like a tendency towards addiction? Now like, you look back like that was not that long ago at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is odds are if you are somebody who is young and struggling with substances, you tend to go through life pretty fast. Hence you're a young person with an addiction. You know what I mean? Like you tend to like have like a pretty strong accelerator. So odds are is you are probably like when you get into a relationship, whether you wait or not, when you get in a relationship, it's probably going to move pretty fast. And then like the decision comes like, hey, let's have kids. It's probably going to move pretty fast. Like, and before you know it, like 10 years is not, it's gone by, and it's probably not even been 10 years. Cause we have guys who have like gone through our program and like our dads today.
Yeah.
Like, and they're not that old. Do you know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, they don't tend to do life like slow, methodically. It's like they see what they want to go get it. Perfect. Fine. See with clear eyes. Like see with clear eyes, and then you can go after it,
Yeah. Well, there's that addicty part of me also that's just like, oh, relationship, time to go all in. You want to talk for 8 hours tonight, even though I have work tomorrow till like 4 a.m.? Sounds good. You want me to stay at your house till 2 a.m., even though I have, something really important tomorrow? I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. It's just like very similar to addiction of like, oh, I have this big presentation tomorrow. I'm still going to go out and get hammered tonight, even though I know it's going to affect me. Like putting things that are important to the side for this thing that I'm just getting a lot of dopamine and feedback from, and I'm chasing. And, even like to get to like crazy stuff. And I've found that a lot of young guys can agree with this, which is interesting because I think women probably get this more as like a stereotype, but like Logan Coleman Sosha. Yeah, I guess that does kind of have a ring to it. It's like we've been dating for a week. I'm like, what would we name our kids?
Yeah,
we live in. I think we'll get married. Just being like way ahead of myself when I get those significant like lovey-dovey feelings going on. That it's kind of hard to reel that back and slow myself down and be like, hey, just like be intentional, slow it down. It's gonna be all right. You don't have to see her every day for the next like month straight and like burn it out, and that's just always been my tendency. And I see that a lot with the guys we work with.
Yeah.
not to mention in those like trends of like figuring things out, the amount of times I went back and forth from like swearing off sober women to like swearing off not sober women. I
Mm-hmm.
dated different women and were like, oh, I'll never date someone in AA again. That just went so bad. And it was because
Yeah.
they're sober and this and that. Then you date a not sober, woman, and oh no, it's cool. I'll even pay for your beer, when we go out to dinner. Doesn't bother me at all. I'm a pretty cool guy. Get it all. I'm still fun. And until we're smooching after the dinner.
Oh,
you're like,
their
oh,
beer taste.
all I taste is alcohol. I don't know if I do want to do this for a lifetime or being around someone. So just like a lot of stuff to figure out, like what's going to bother you, what's good, what you like, what you don't like. And there's just I don't think there's really any potential upside to having to figure that out in the first 6 months or a year of being sober. And there's so much downside and risk with it. I have seen more young men go out back into addiction from getting into relationships too early than almost any other thing I could think of.
Yeah.
Like that's the number one thing to me.
Huge risk reward. I mean, I think the reward is you like learn your unmanageability, but to go back to what we were saying earlier, give yourself time to be able to really do it and have built the floor up, to where like if it does come crashing down and it's like, yeah, they told me it wasn't a good relationship, you don't just go back out.
Mm-hmm.
You've learned some other ways to cope with like hard stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's what we're trying to say. Like, we're not trying to keep people out of relationship. We just want you to be built up enough to be able to handle the ups and downs of it.
Yeah. Because they're there.
Completely natural, completely normal. And, it's a tale old as time.
And it will be for the rest of time. I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. I think that will always be an issue for people in recovery in general. For young people, I think probably even more than that. And then for young men that we work with, I think we'll always see that.
For sure. All right, people. It was a shorter one today, but I hope that was helpful. Lucas, I appreciate your thoughts as always. Appreciate you. And appreciate all you listeners out there, all the subscribers. If you like it, share with your friends, post it. What do we say? Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff.
Subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes as they come out. Like it helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment, that helps even more, and share it with anyone who you think needs to hear it.
Good stuff. All right, people. Peace.
Boop.